The lava rivers of Mustafar churned with apocalyptic fury. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood paralyzed, his lightsaber deactivated. He looked into the yellow, hate-filled eyes of his former apprentice and saw no trace of the man he once called brother. The weight of the temple massacre and the betrayal of the order pressed down on him, suffocating his resolve. "I cannot do it, Anakin," Obi-Wan whispered, his voice barely audible over the roaring inferno. Anakin's grip on his own hilt tightened, his mechanical hand twitching with impatient malice. The dark side radiated from him like a physical heat, searing the air. Obi-Wan, broken by the sheer magnitude of the tragedy, turned his back on the future of the Jedi. He walked toward his ship, ignoring the triumphant, guttural roar that erupted from the man who was meant to bring balance. As the Jedi starfighter ascended, leaving the molten planet behind, the course of history fractured. Anakin Skywalker remained whole, his body unscarred by the fires of Mustafar, his power undiluted by agonizing reconstructive surgery. He stood on the landing platform, a complete and terrifying vessel for the Emperor's will. With no injuries to slow his progression and no physical trauma to temper his rage, the Dark Apprentice prepared to unleash a reign of terror that would outpace the Emperor's wildest dreams. Deep below, the volcanic skies darkened as a new, unhindered shadow began to spread across the stars, sensing a galaxy ripe for total submission. On Coruscant, the newly christened Galactic Empire felt the shift. Without the agonizing limitations of a cybernetic suit, Darth Vader moved with a terrifying, fluid grace that defied standard combat logic. He was not merely a weapon of the Sith, he was the apex predator of the galaxy. Palpatine watched with sinister satisfaction as his apprentice tore through the remaining pockets of resistance with surgical precision, his movements fueled by an unbridled, organic connection to the Force. Vader's presence in the halls of the Imperial Palace commanded a level of fear that stifled even the most ambitious Moffs. He required no breathing apparatus, no meditation chambers, and no constant maintenance. He was the perfect, terrifying visage of the New Order. "The Jedi are scattered, my master," Vader reported, his voice devoid of the metallic rasp. History would have known. It was cold, clear, and absolute. Palpatine smiled. The grand plan had been accelerated. Because Vader did not suffer the horrific injuries of a failed duel, he remained the most powerful Force user in existence, second only to the Emperor himself. They moved to finalize the consolidation of the core worlds, hunting down the last of the scattered Jedi remnants with terrifying speed. There was no recovery period for the Empire. There was only expansion. Suddenly, a disturbance rippled through the Force. It was not a lingering Jedi, but something more personal, a hidden, fading heartbeat that Vader had failed to silence, a ghost of his past that threatened to compromise the future. The transition from Republic to Empire was no longer a slow crawl. It was a sudden, violent severance of democratic tradition. With Obi-Wan Kenobi absent and the Jedi Council wiped out, there was no moral authority to challenge the Emperor's mandates. Vader led the vanguard of the Imperial fleet, his presence on the bridge of the Executor marking the death knell for countless planetary governments that dared to hesitate. The Purge was absolute. Systems that whispered of the old Republic were silenced through orbital bombardment and total occupation. Vader personally oversaw the systematic dismantling of the Jedi archives, ensuring that every scrap of knowledge regarding the light side was incinerated. It was a dark age of absolute compliance. Citizens who once looked to the stars with hope now looked down in terror. The Imperial Senate became a hollow stage for puppets, while the real power resided in the dark shadow of the Emperor's throne room. Vader was the iron fist that ensured no rebellion could form, crushing dissent before it could even be whispered in the dark corners of the galaxy. Yet, in the shadows of the Outer Rim, a flicker of resistance began to ignite. A coalition of senators and disillusioned military officers, realizing that Vader would never stop until every shred of freedom was erased, began a desperate, clandestine communication. The stage was set for a conflict that would be fought not with armies, but with secrets. And the greatest secret of all was now within their reach. Padme's vessel drifted through the silent expanse of the Polis Massa asteroid field, a fragile sanctuary against a galaxy that had gone mad. She had arrived moments before the chaos truly erupted, her spirit shattered by the news of Anakin's total embrace of the dark. She was alone, isolated, and carrying the future of the Jedi within her. The birth was a harrowing ordeal, conducted in the cold, sterile silence of a hidden medical bay. She named them Luke and Leia, shielding them from the darkness that now claimed their father. But survival came at a cost. She knew that as long as she breathed, Vader's reach would eventually find her. She contacted Bail Organa, not as a senator, but as a desperate mother pleading for a future she would not live to see. "They must be hidden," Padme whispered, her voice weak but resolute. "Their father is a monster, but they are the hope of a galaxy he seeks to destroy." She knew the risks. If Vader discovered their existence, he would stop at nothing to claim them as his heirs. Padme began to weave a web of deception, scattering her children to opposite corners of the galaxy, creating a trail of false leads that would exhaust even the most determined hunters. She was no longer a politician. She was the architect of an insurgency, planting the seeds of defiance that would grow in the dark, forgotten soil of the Imperial fringe. The Force vibrated with a specific haunting frequency. Vader felt it, a lingering echo of a presence he thought he had extinguished on Mustafar. It wasn't the ghost of Obi-Wan. It was the sharp, untainted spark of his own bloodline. The revelation hit him with the force of a supernova. His children lived. His focus shifted instantly. The subjugation of the Outer Rim was delegated to his admirals, while he turned the full, terrifying might of the Imperial intelligence apparatus toward one goal: finding the twins. Every planet was scanned, every passenger manifest scrutinized, and every whisper of potential Force sensitives was investigated with lethal thoroughness. Vader's obsession became a dark shadow that moved across the galaxy. He knew the twins held the key to ultimate power or the final end of his reign. He traveled from the dust-choked markets of Tatooine to the frozen wastes of Hoth, leaving behind a trail of devastated communities. He was a father hunting his own future, driven by a twisted desire to mold his children into the ultimate instruments of the Sith. The Empire grew terrified, not of the Emperor, but of the lengths to which his apprentice would go to fulfill a personal vendetta. Yet, the twins remained elusive, protected by the very allies who had once sworn to serve the Republic. The galaxy held its breath as the Predator closed in, oblivious to the fact that he was driving the very people he sought into the arms of an ancient enemy. The binary sons of Tatooine were a constant, searing reminder of the heat he had failed to face. Obi-Wan Kenobi was a ghost in the desert, a man who had traded his purpose for cowardice. Every night, the dreams returned the image of Anakin's eyes, the realization of what his inaction had unleashed upon the trillions of souls across the galaxy. He was the guardian of a boy he could never truly train, lest the Empire find them both. His lightsaber remained buried in the sand, a relic of a dead era. He watched young Luke Skywalker from a distance, seeing the flicker of his father's fire in the boy's eyes. It was a terrifying sight, even tell-new and dim, and never won. If the boy were to discover his heritage, would he inherit his father's rage, or would he be the catalyst for the galaxy's redemption? Obi-Wan lived in fear of the day an Imperial shuttle would darken the horizon. He practiced his connection to the Force in stolen moments of silence, but his spirit was brittle, cracked by the weight of his failure. He was no longer the general of the Clone Wars. He was a broken man, waiting for an end that felt overdue. But as the winds shifted, so did the danger. A specialized Imperial probe droid drifted over the homestead, its sensors locking onto a unique energy signature. The hermit felt the intrusion in the Force and stood up, reaching for the hilt he had hidden for decades. The time for hiding was ending. The desert floor exploded in a storm of sand and plasma. Darth Vader landed his ship, a dark needle piercing the Tatooine sky. He walked with a calculated, terrifying stride, his presence freezing the air around him. Young Luke stood his ground, his hand trembling as he held the lightsaber his father once wielded. He was not a Jedi, but he was the son of the most powerful Force user in history. "You have the spirit of a Skywalker," Vader remarked, his voice smooth and devoid of mechanical artifice. "But you lack the discipline to master it." The battle was brief, but devastating. Luke fought with raw, unrefined instinct, his movements mirroring the potential that Anakin once possessed. Vader, however, was a master of the craft, his fighting style precise and overwhelming. He didn't want to kill the boy. He wanted to break him, to prove that the light side was nothing but a fragile dream. Obi-Wan lunged from the shadows, his blade ignited in a desperate attempt to protect the boy. It was the reunion they had both dreaded for 2 decades. The clash of their sabers was an echo of Mustafar, but the roles had shifted. Now, Obi-Wan fought to save the future, while Vader fought to own it. The desert became a crucible of fire and energy as the legacy of the Jedi and the tyranny of the Sith locked in a final, brutal struggle for the soul of the Skywalker bloodline. The sands of Tatooine were stained with the wreckage of hope. Obi-Wan Kenobi lay defeated, his body failing, his sacrifice insufficient to stop the tide. Vader stood over the unconscious form of his son, a cold, predatory triumph washing over him. The last obstacle to his absolute control had been removed, and the final heirs to the Jedi legacy were now his to command. He returned to Coruscant not as an apprentice, but as a conqueror. The Emperor, sensing the shift in power, found himself cornered by an apprentice who had never been broken, never been bound by mechanical limbs, and never been silenced by doubt. The transition was swift. The Sith throne, once shared, was now occupied by a single, terrifying figure. The galaxy fell silent. The rebellion, deprived of its potential symbol, crumbled into fractured, unorganized cells. Vader tightened his grip on the systems, turning the entire Imperial military into an extension of his own dark will. There were no more threats, no more dissent, and no more light to flicker against the encroaching void. He sat upon the throne, looking out at a galaxy that had finally achieved perfect, absolute submission. The age of the Jedi was a fading memory, replaced by an eternity of silence. Darth Vader had succeeded where all before him had failed. He had brought order to the galaxy, but the price was everything, and now, as he looked toward the next cycle of conquest, the shadows of the future promised only eternal, unchanging darkness.